Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Kasparov chess coverage here on Twitch of the Croatia Grand Chess Tour, Rapid and Blitz. These names keep getting longer here. And once again, we are joined by the man, as to quote Tony Stark, the man whose name is on the building, Garry Kasparov, coming to us live from Zagreb. How are you doing today, Garry?
Yeah, doing fine. So watching the games and getting worried about my own performance because Šarić is doing so well. So I hope I can keep up.
We did not expect. It's like a relay race, you know, where you're expecting to come in, you know, way behind, try to make up some ground, and instead Šarić is one of the pack chasing the leader here, the local representative, taking down another big gun today. Yeah, so you're going to have to live up to the high standards set by Šarić when you take over for him in the Blitz.
Yeah, he looks, you know, motivated, concentrated, well prepared. So and it's again solid games, and he has +1, and again +1 with no luck. You know, you could even say that, you know, he missed his winning chance against MVL. He lost the drawing endgame to Korobov. So basically, you know, he's just, you know, he is keeping up with the big guns, and he's in the plus territory. You know, just, you know, by showing a very good quality and resilience, and as I already said, you know, great level of concentration.
Right. But first here, before we get to that big showdown there that came a little later, we have some initial games here to look at as well. But let's take a look. I want to get your general impression here of the play before we jump into the boards. Again, we said Nepomniachtchi still leading with 8. We'll look at the standings a little later, but we've got MVL, Šarić, and Vichy Anand right in there, the veteran. So you've got to be rooting for him a little. I know Šarić is your guy here. You're teaming up with him in this event, but as a veteran, you've got to root for Vichy here. Back playing his first in-person tournament in what, a year and a half, and he's doing quite well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And today we saw another demonstration of his class, just outplaying Korobov, just in what looked like a very good position for Black. So Vichy, you know, found interesting maneuvers and phenomenal endgame technique.
Right, and let's go ahead and jump into that, since we've set it up that far. And this was kind of a, not strange, I guess, but a mirror of the game we saw the other day with Vichy getting into this double-edged, two-sided all-out attacks, king-side, queen-side attacks, and opponent defending well, perhaps maybe not quite as winning as Van Foreest was against him the other day when he missed that rook h8 move that we looked at yesterday. But once again, you know, Korobov was holding up fine under the pressure, but Vichy kept pushing, pushing.
You know, I think it's the interesting moment. You know, I think that's the one of the critical moments. It's when Korobov played queen c3 and Vichy played g4.
Okay.
So already making preparations for the end game. And I'm not sure that Korobov, you know, found the best plan. I didn't have time to analyze the position, but I would consider, if I were Blacks, playing something like a6.
Okay.
Trying to play b5. You know, but it's just for the future, just to remove pawns from the Black squares. Actually, the game will be decided because Black pawns were on the wrong squares, and the White bishop collected them.
Right.
So maybe a6, b5, trying just to get some space, you know, and prevent White of playing in the endgame, which is inevitable after queen's gone. So a4 and c4. So that would be my suggestion. So g4, a6, and trying to play b5.
And that would be, again, kind of realizing that the mating attack is over. That you're not going to mate him.
There's no mating. F5 you can take on f5 with e pawn and then exchange queens, because then already White pawns are weak. So no, there's no mating attack because queens, you know, we can exchange queens at our convenience. Right. But I think playing a6, b5, you know, could actually help us to prepare for the end game, because it's already preparation for the next stage. And I think Korobov, you know, just he was not well prepared, and that's what Vichy, you know, exploited by just by winning these two pawns on a7, b6.
Right, and we can run through that. So he just continued with the direct a5, and then the bishop comes back to c1, queen retreats, and a4. And is Black already in trouble here? Then is this end game just going to be real trouble for him?
Look, I think this is the end game. I just not sure this is what position is now there. So
after a4, before he plays rook h2, because he thought maybe he could try to.
It's highly unpleasant because you see this the pawns on a7 b6 they're now locked,
right?
And that's like permanent weakness. And whatever happens, that these pawns could become, it's an easy prey for white bishop. Yeah. In this case, maybe we should say for white elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The slon.
Yeah. Actually, it's the and Korobov, I think, I don't know whether he just realized that the position was too dangerous, but just what he did after exchanging rooks was just losing, because all these pawns on the king side, they were blocked, which is the final position is interesting. This is the end game with equal number of pawns and opposite color bishops, but white bishop and one pawn basically hold the entire black mass on the king side and the center, while 3 white pawns are just unstoppable.
Right. And here's a nice little tactic there from Vichy, the knight f5, clearing the way to get those exchanges off. And again, nothing crushing. It just wants to swap things off and get into that endgame you were talking about.
Yeah. It's absolutely safe for white. And again, I don't know whether Korobov could save it or not, but again, I would stick to my recommendation. He had to start with a6 and b5. Yes, trying to make sure that all these sorts of endgames could be defended.
Right. And he threw some stuff here. The one move that, again, I don't think it saves anything, but trying to activate the bishop, the black bishop, just tossing that pawn with e3 here, just getting out of the way, e3, g2, and trying to hold on for dear life with a more active bishop. But I mean, 3 connected passes over there. I mean, this has to be over.
This is, again, I think it was too late already.
Yeah. Yeah. So another comeback, another save from Vichy. Again, fortune favoring the brave, playing all out and outplaying his opponent in some of it. So if he's any sign of rust, I mean, he's been outplaying these again the players he'd be expected to outplay. I think, not to insult Korobov and Van Forest, but these are the guys he'd be targeting. But from Vichy's standpoint, a year and a half off doesn't seem to have hurt him too much.
Yeah, I think Korobov is a stronger player, so more solid. So of course, Van Forest had phenomenal result last year, but Korobov is a solid player, and I think his strength is estimated. So he's a very, very solid positional player. So I wouldn't say that outplaying Korobov was easy. So just and that's was a big accomplishment for Vichy.
All right. So
by the way, Korobov easily outplayed Van Forest today.
That's true.
Easily. Right. I mean, it was just so one-sided, the game.
Right. And that's kept Korobov, again, they're still at the bottom of the cross table, but a few other bigger names down there as well on 5 points with Korobov. Mamedyarov and Grishchuk also were not doing that. Both had negative scores on the day. So
Mamedyarov played, that's a very interesting game against Duda. I think he thought that he could, just win the game just with a psychological attack, because it was not well prepared. The attack gave up a pawn, and Duda grabbed the pawn, defended the position well, and then just start a counterattack. So it's actually a very, very good game by Duda.
Okay, well, maybe we'll be able to grab another chance to look at that one. But meanwhile, we have our second game here. We're going to bring up the big one here for the local fans. I don't know. There's no audience though, right? They're not allowing spectators. I understand.
No, they're very, very few VIPs. I mean, it's basically no spectators. You can say because the hall is not built to have a big audience there.
Yeah.
It's a great building. That's the first 5G building in Croatia, but it's done more because the biggest hall there is done for the Congress, not for playing chess. So you have a lot of fixed things there, like big tables. So this is all for the conference. So that's why the room that is selected for the tournament is relatively small. Still a big room, but just by current health standards, you cannot fill the room with any spectators.
Right. Well, that's disappointing for our hometown hero here.
Yeah.
Got who today facing the leader, facing the World Championship challenger, Jan Nepomniachtchi, comes in with the black pieces, and you got to figure Nepomniachtchi's looking to extend his lead against the the lowest rated player, one of the lowest rated players in the field, probably lowest. I don't think he's rated under
Yeah, absolutely.
under 140, but been playing well. Again, we saw him take down Gear yesterday, and here he is with black.
Let's not forget that before facing Nepomniachtchi, so he had a chance of beating MVL. He was very close, so he missed a very good chance, of having excellent winning chances. So he just, instead of knight f7, bishop g5, so that could be a really just a tough moment for MVL. But even later, he had an extra pawn. That's close, but MVL is a great defender, of course.
Right.
But then he had this big game with Nepomniachtchi.
Right, and that's the one we're going to jump in a little ahead here in the diagram. I don't think we wanted to spend too much time in the Sveshnikov, or I can bring it up if you want to go through the opening.
No, but I think this is one of the reasons that Nepomniachtchi played opening, I would say, poorly, because I didn't look at his at his clock, so how much time he spent, but I think that he was not sure what to choose, because don't forget, Magnus plays Sveshnikov regularly, and I have no doubt that Nepomniachtchi knows how to play against Sveshnikov, so he has better ideas. Right. But he definitely is not interested of showing these ideas in this tournament.
Right.
Yeah, and also I think he underestimated Šarić. He thought, oh, I could play whatever. Okay. And playing whatever, ended up, with him, very quickly getting into trouble, because I think Bishop G2 was already a bad move, because then all of a sudden he was forced to get his knight on d5, and after Queen b7 he had no way to he just knight has no escape, so this pawn structure was forced. And this pawn structure favors black, because now white pawn goes on d5. And white bishop is fairly passive. Black bishop is just playing it's very active role. It's takes c1 square under control, and it ended up on f4 eventually. And then black simply prepares an attack on the queen side. Yeah, and it's already very tough. Whether Nepomniachtchi could do a better job, so he tried to organize a blockade on white squares. But when he pushed his pawns on g4, h5, he gave f4 square for the bishop, and what's important, g5 square for black king. And black king it's like in a cradle, it's like a little nest. So the king is very active, because it still attacks, potentially the white pawn can go on f4 if necessary. But at the time, for the time being, it was well protected against any attacks from white rooks. So it's very, very annoying, This is the king is standing there, and he can do nothing. So you look at this king and understand that it's a regular menace to you, but you cannot do anything. And then he simply started, his advance on the queen side. Yeah. And Nepomniachtchi just desperately had this chance of pushing his a pawn, but then all of a sudden everything collapsed because of the rook b4. So, and rook on h7 was terribly placed, but it's rook takes e4 was
this is cute, actually. I mean, it's one of those funny ones that we always say you can never rest. You think that you've got an end game, opposite color bishop, maybe not much going on. You're looking at pawns, and then suddenly there's this tactic based on the rook that it's completely out of the way over on a7. It costs you a piece. It was a great shot.
Yeah, and Nepomniachtchi found the best way to defend, but it was all in vain. So it was extra exchange, but black had a pawn, and also this is a bishop that was protected by another pawn, and then this pawn, when pawn reached b2, it was clear that white will have to give up a rook for that. So I think he could do it. Probably could finish him off earlier, but it's good enough. And this is the last interesting moment in the game, so it's psychological. Nepomniachtchi played rook g8 at the very end, provoking Šarić to play rook g1 check, and then it's queen against rook. It's easy win, But this is that Charic wisely decided not to play this position. So play simply king c4 and that's it. And then the
Right.
king just appears on, eventually goes on e2, and then just it's an extra rook. You don't have to play queen versus rook.
Right. Yeah. He was just going to say he's just going to walk his king up, not take any risks here.
No,
Why get involved in some
no.
technique? Right. So very nice. And again, a bit of a surprise. Saric is something of a known quantity. He's not like some wonderkind. He's what, 30 years old, I think. So
yeah, he's not a kid, but he had some good tournaments. He won a European Rapid, in 2018. So he's again solid player, but it's what's important. He's motivated. I played a training match with him several years ago. So, and I did well against him, but now I can only hope that I can do nearly as well as he does. Though I have my doubts, because it's important. You look at him, and he definitely took his big chance to play all the top players in the world, and he's well prepared, and then you could feel that he's very hungry for chess. So he plays with appetite. So, and maybe other players, they're just a little bit bored. They played so many games online, and it's just, you don't feel the same passion from their side. I think that's playing so much online is just it's doesn't work well.
That's a big thing. I mean, just as a coincidence, we had a conversation lately, not to hijack things, about the differences in visualization, and you related that story about your match against X3D Fritz way back in 2003, playing a computer, and the difference between trying to visualize things. You're wearing 3D glasses, looking at this fuzzy board, comparing that to playing on a non-virtual board, I guess we have to call it now, wooden board, and it can change things. And now these guys, who of course are used to working with computers constantly anyway, playing online anyway, but taking a long time off from face-to-face over-the-board competition, it has to mess with some of those kind of mental pathways of visualization and things like that. So I think we may be seeing a few more glitches in the matrix than we might usually.
Yeah, maybe. But again, it's all these the top players, they spend most of the last 12 months, 15 months even, just playing online, and it seems that they miss the fire.
Right.
It's not the same fighting spirit, and Charic with his concentration and again, it's for him, it's the best chance to prove himself.
Right.
And so far, he has been doing a great job.
Right. And as far as the other players here, we're heading into that final day, and he's got his work cut out for him tomorrow. Saric, he's playing the big guns, you were saying, right?
Yeah. Look, all of them are big guns here, but it's this. Not that he had weak players today,
No.
He had MVL and Nepomniachtchi, but tomorrow he plays. It's like all the big guns.
Yeah.
Grishik, Mamedyarov, and Grishuk. Yeah.
Well, you're going to have there's going to be a lot of pressure on you if he comes out of that even with an even score.
Oh yeah, that'll be huge pressure. Yeah. So again, I'm beginning very, very nervous. So I remember how to move the pieces, but I have to say that I will definitely miss Charic's dedication and preparation and concentration. So I had too many other things to think about. Yeah. But I'm trying to make sure that this is today and tomorrow. So I'm doing all my best to clear my head from other things, which is still difficult. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you've had this problem before. I mean, coming back, you reappear, you take a year or two, you don't play, and that's really it, right? That you just don't have
but it's
the distractions when you're playing full time.
Yes, but it's about concentration, about your head, just being totally, preoccupied with other things. So I'm just doing recording on cybersecurity blog. So or working on a geopolitical article, or just there are tons of things, and looking for just some other arrangements that it's with other contracts. So it's yeah, and then you have to think about, you know, the Sicilian, about Queen's Gambit, about King's Indian, about, and it's just, yeah, I still remember vaguely what to do there, but it's, you know, but you need, you know, full concentration. So I'm just I'm trying to recover, you know, whatever I can. So yeah, it's just yeah, it's as much as I can do in 72 hours. So I'll bring in. So, but so it's amazing that, you know, all my life, you know, I was famous for, you know, for being, you know, so good in the openings. Now just all I want is actually to survive the opening, and then we'll see. If I can avoid, you know, the opening disaster, then yes, then I know how to locate the pieces.
Right. We have not too many actual questions as such, but some comments. As far as just wanted to blend a few of them in. Someone actually wrote one in yesterday that we didn't get to about preparation for an event. And at the grandmaster level, and especially at the world class level that you're at, and we're, you know, since you were what, 12, it's very specific. It tends to be preparation. You know your opponents. You're in a closed tournament. You're doing a lot of opening prep, things like that. That is not something that the average player going into an open, especially, has to concern himself with. They can work on their openings, but they're not digging down into likely opponents and things like that. What would you, I don't know if you can remember back far enough to your days at the back then preparing for that sort of tournament, but is there anything you would do in the days running up before a tournament, maybe, you know, trying to get more rest or working on tactics or anything that would help, you think would help the average player as far as tournament prep, something they could work on if you're not preparing for specific opponents?
Look, it's the preparation today is different, very different than the one I had when I was 12 or 20, or even, you know, when I was in my late 30s. The amount of information that the player should memorize and should look at is just phenomenal. You just can't imagine the sheer size of the opening theory, and it's just, you know, it's the amount of time that it takes, you know, to look at everything, to check everything, and just to come up with new ideas, because you have computers, and it's just, and computers just, you know, they've changed the very meaning of preparation, opening preparation, completely. And so and I don't know, I actually I cannot tell you how they prepare for opponents, so whether they do it specifically for this opponent or they just do the openings, I have no idea. So I can only see that it's a tremendous amount of work, tremendous amount of work. So it's when I played professional chess, we had some players who just, you know, work really hard in the openings, but some of them, you know, could say, okay, you know, I don't have to work that much. I can just compensate, you know, at the board, no more. So that's everybody now. Every top player now works so hard, so hard.
Right. And let's see what we got here from, if we have any other comments or questions. I told them I was asking for their training tips for you going in, since you haven't played in a while, but I'm not seeing a lot of strong recommendations here. But I don't know if you're not seeing the chat to give shout outs, but it's been a pleasure here. We're hitting our time. What's your forecast here tomorrow, and then you're tossed into the fire? So you get one more day. So you're on Saturday, correct?
Yeah, I'm on Saturday, Sunday. I'm the weekend player. My weekend tournament.
Yeah,
and we'll see. So, but let's not forget that, you know, it's many players here, they're wild cards, and Nepo is a wild card. So that's why, again, this is probably the real winner of the tournament. I think Yasser Serrell mentioned it, is Wesley Saw, because he sees as all his potential competitors just losing points.
That's right. I was going to say he's looking at the big picture there.
Yeah, exactly. The big picture, yes. And Mamediara won Bucharest, but now he's not doing so well. Yeah. And we'll see. So if he can recover the deficit before Blitz.
Yeah. So I don't know. Most of these questions don't seem to be related to to anything to do with the tournament or even your blitz. So everyone wants you to say hello to them. So I guess you can just say hello to everybody.
Hello to everybody. So and again, I'm missing tomorrow. So the report, because I will spend my remaining hours, getting myself mentally ready for the challenge.
Right. And for folks, we'll be back with these shows that will continue after the round. Tomorrow, we've got the final 3 rounds of Rapid. So we've got 7, 8, 9 coming tomorrow, starting at 2:50 CET. And then we've got special Kasparov Chess Ambassador shows coming on. I think Levon Aronian is going to come on and do a show after the round. It's not really a recap, but a full show. And then Jovanka Hauska is coming on during the Blitz as well. And then Peter Svidler is coming on. You're one of your sparring partners in preparation, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, last time you had a nice plus record against him in sparring, and he had the absolute temerity to beat you in the actual tournament. I thought that was really unfair.
No, look, it's fair, So it was entirely my fault. So when I look at the games I played against him in our 960 match, and at the games I played in official 960, so it's the quality was quite different. So somehow I did much better in training games.
That's how it goes. Sometimes the pressure even gets to you a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Okay,
right.
So guys, so I will not see you tomorrow, but watch me on Saturday and Sunday.
We'll be watching. Absolutely. Everyone, thank you for joining us here on Twitch, Kasparovchess.com, and thank you, Garry, for being with us, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.